I don't know if I can get my inspector out there. Get more inspectors then. Get 4 or 5 of them that you can have at your disposal to make sure that they can come in and help you out when you need them. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brad Baldwin. I'm the Director of Coaching over here at Icenhower Real Estate Coaching Consulting. And today we're going to be talking about back into our series of the 7 deadly mistakes that I see real estate agents make in their business that causes them to either not launch a successful business as a new agent, or they might be an existing agent that's having some struggles right now moving their business forward. And these are some of the things that I do see. We've talked about not having a plan, not having a business plan or a path to go on. We've talked about not tracking your results and your numbers. We've talked about not using your database wisely in order to make sure that you're getting those leads and referrals out of that database, and using some of the tools as well. Today we're going to talk about an interesting topic, which I think is a hot topic, pretty much because I talked about with all my coaching clients this week. And it's not having a unique selling proposition, not having a value proposition. Like, what, if you look at you, what separates you from the real estate agent down the street? Why would someone want to come work for your team versus the team down the street? Why would someone want to join your brokerage versus the brokerage down the street? It always has to do with the value proposition that you provide. And today we're going to really kind of stick on the topic of the value proposition between you and another real estate agent, because here's the objection that I'm getting. I thought it was very interesting because I posted it in the Real Estate Roundtable, our Facebook group today, and it said, what do you say to your client when they say, I'm working with multiple agents to find a house? I'm working with multiple agents to find a house. This is coming up quite often. I'm going to tell you the reason why here in a second. But I thought it was fascinating about the topics that I'm reading in the comments. I'm looking at it right now. Wouldn't waste my time anymore. Bye, Felicia. That was my favorite. Bye, they ain't your client, they are a customer. And then finally, somebody did say show more value, which I thought was really, really great. I love that. Once one person says, hey, I'm working with multiple buyers and getting them homes, good luck in your search. Okay, now I'm gonna tell you the reason why I'm fascinated by the comments that are going on in this chat right now. And it's because you're getting defensive. Have you noticed that all those comments are defensive? They're mad at that client for going out and doing business with another agent. What are they really mad about? Whenever you're mad, fear drives anger. So they are afraid of something, right? So if you're angry at something, if you're hating on something, 9 times out of 10 is because you're afraid of something. So on this case, in my perspective, they're probably afraid that they're losing the customer, right? They're losing the client. So instead of just acknowledging that and learning from that, they're getting mad, and now they're really trying to defend their actions. And the actions that they're trying to defend is they didn't have a unique selling proposition. They're not bringing value to that client in order for them to make sure that they are staying with them. Lack of value will always cost you money. So in lieu of value, it'll always cost you money. So you have to bring value to that customer. Now, here's the thing. What do you do different? Like, as a buyer's agent, let's just stick with buyers because we're dealing with a lot of buyers right now in this market. What are you doing different than the guy down the street or the girl down the street? You know, we all have access to the MLS, right? We all have our favorite lender. We all have a lockbox key. You know, we get inside, get in out of the houses. You know, we all have access to co-op to set up showings. What is it you actually do different? I want you to think about that, and I'd write that down. What is it that I do differently than the other person? I mean, really have a value to it, right? Now, here's the thing. When you're working with buyers, I believe, from my experience in selling over 4,000 homes, and not only my personal experience, but all the clients that I coach, which is over about 10,000 coaching hours, is I do know this, is when you do buyer consultations and you sit down with that person and you do a thorough buyer's consultation, that provides them value. Now, what do I mean by that, right? That means by, you don't have to, I am not a big believer in the old school, come over to my office, let's have a cup of coffee and spend 3 hours doing a buyer's consultation. I just don't think that works. I don't think people in today's society want to spend the time. I think it's a very difficult conversation to have. I think that a lot of people are now going to virtual offices and things of that nature. And during the COVID pandemic, actually, a lot of us are working from home, right? So I don't know if I want people coming in and out of my house like that. So here's kind of the thing. We're going to have to adapt, and we do have to do the buyer's consultation, but we can do that over a Zoom meeting. Now, a lot of people really prefer that. Number one, it's faster. They don't have to leave their house. They can do it on their mobile phone. They can do it on their iPad. They can do it at their office, their home, wherever, right? So I think setting up that buyer's consultation on a Zoom meeting is step one, or making it convenient for them to meet with you. I'm a complete advocate in saying, if someone wants to go see 123 Main Street, I have no problems in going showing them 123 Main Street, right? With the exception that, hey, after we get done here, can we spend about 15 or 20 minutes so I can really talk about your home buying goals and what I can do for you as a real estate agent to help make that goal a reality? And you see how I just said that? Can you say that the same way? Remember, that's part of the skills that we've been talking about too. You have to have that down pat so I can make your home goals a reality. And usually most people say yes. And now at that buyer's consultation, we want to provide our value. And what is your value as a real estate agent? Because not very many people are doing this. Most people are going out and showing them homes, and they're scared to have the conversation because we're getting ready to have a very difficult conversation with this person. And by not having that conversation, we get to avoid conflict. When we as people get to avoid conflict, it sometimes makes us secure. Meaning I could have 15 or 20 buyers in my pipeline, and I never had a buyer's consultation with any of them, okay? Not having a buyer's consultation with any of them, do I really have 15 or 20 buyers? I ask this to almost every person I coach. Have you ever had a buyer that didn't buy? Have you ever had a buyer that didn't buy, right? Most people say, yeah, I've had buyers that didn't buy. I was like, no, you didn't, because all buyers buy. Now, how do we separate the looker from the buyer? We do it through the buyer's consultation. And right now, the times are changing a little bit to where that buyer's consultation is not necessarily the same kind of conversation that we've had in the past, okay? The conversation that we need to be having now with our buyers is not only taking them through the entire lending process, especially the appraisals, especially the inspections, right? Especially the actual home search and setting them up on an auto email e-alert and that sort of thing. Now, granted, most people, even if you're trained in our system, which is probably, I know it's not probably, it is probably the best system out there, right? If you're trained in our system, you all have access to the buyer lead conversion course, you will see that all those are touched on. Now, most real estate agents that get trained that way, you're now providing the same value. So now remember back to my lockbox, we have MLS, we have all this. We also all do similar buyer's consultations. We've got to step our buyer consultation game up to provide value for our clients. Now, the value that I believe that we need to be providing our buyer clients right now, it goes like this. Let's kind of tell you what it is, right? You have to have the talk with the person. The more expectations you can set them up with and get them to agree at that buyer's consultation, they're going to have more confidence in you that you know what you're talking about. So the real reason, okay, stick with me, my comments are blowing up, and I thought it was a great question. I think it's, I want to see this next one. How's that working for you? Just defensive. I love it. And so the reason that they're doing that, the reason that most consumers leave you to go work for another agent is because they lost confidence in you to find them a home. The more homes you show that person, the more offers that you write for that person, the less confidence that they have in you. And you can blame the market, you can blame low inventory, you can blame all that stuff. but that is not the problem. The problem is you. It's the person in the mirror, okay? So the person in the mirror is the issue. And what the issue is 9 times out of 10, I'm not saying that everybody's done this, but I'm saying is you're not setting up the proper expectations. You've got to be able to tell that buyer, here's what the market's doing. This is what I've been seeing. I'm working with 15, or you can even use your pipeline, that fake pipeline that I told you about that aren't buyers, or we don't have buyers consultations, or you can use, if you don't have that, you have internet leads that are coming in or something like that, or you've got an SOI that you can say, you know, I'm working with 15, 20 different people right now looking to buy or sell a home. And this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that there is a low inventory. When a home comes on the market, we have to make sure that we get up and we go look at that home, or we look at it virtually, or maybe I do a FaceTime walkthrough, that sort of thing. Some of these houses we were gonna have to buy unseen. Now, most people just keep talking like I'm talking, and that is the worst thing you can do, because it is kind of going in one ear and out the other. What you're doing is you're telling, and telling is not selling. You have to say, you know, that this is the state of the market. These homes come on the market. They'll probably be off the market almost in a day, maybe 5 to 6 hours, okay? We have to be prepared to go look at that home exactly when it comes on the market. Or we're gonna do a FaceTime virtual thing where I'm gonna walk through the home and you're gonna walk through it, and that's how you're gonna have to see it so we can put it in our offer. Is that okay with you? Do you have any issues with that? What's the best number for me to call you at? How do you want me to FaceTime you? Do you want me to Zoom you? Do you want me to FaceTime you? I mean, really drill down on that, right? And then I would say something like, okay, now that we got the offer in our hand, remember what I was telling you about the inspections, and I was telling you about the appraisals. Here's what I'm seeing in the market. Most people are cutting their inspection periods down. I'm not a big fan, being an agent for you, of doing no inspection, right? Unless you're an investor and want to buy it as is. I mean, you could do that, but maybe we can do this where we can just have 1 day of inspections, maybe 2, right? Now, I know all you are saying, but Brad, I don't know if I can get my inspector out there. Get more inspectors then. Get 4 or 5 of them that you can have at your disposal to make sure that they can come in and help you out when you need them, right? But I would say 1 day, 2 day inspection period tops, right? If you want to do none, that's fine, but I don't want to get in trouble with your broker because she's my client and a pretty good friend of mine. But me as a broker too, I don't advise my agents to do that either. I say 1 day inspection period, maybe 2. I want them to have the opportunity to do an inspection. No seller is going to count you down for that. Right now, this is what they will count you down for: the appraisal contingency, because this is what I hear a lot of people saying is, right, we can qualify for the home, but it has to appraise for a certain amount of money. Now, there's a lot of people that they're bidding over appraisal and they're coming up with the difference. That's what's happening in the market. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, right? Are you willing to, I said Mr. and Mrs., it could be anybody, I'm just playing along with me, right? Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, are you willing to pay over appraisal for this home? Meaning that there's no appraisal contingency. Right? We're just going to pay what it is. The lender will loan you the amount that it's appraised for. Anything above that, we have to have cash for. Are you willing to do that? They might say yes. And you need to ask them that. Don't just tell them that that's going to happen. They need to agree to it. Yes, that's going to happen. Great. All right. Now, we might have to do $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, depending on what kind of private home we're buying, right, in order to come up with this difference. Where are those reserves going to come from? Difficult question to ask. I get it, but you have to ask that question because I want to know where it's coming from. They need to know where it's coming from. I got to say, all right, now, okay, if you got 50,000 in your 401k, or you got 400,000 and something, is it liquid? Can we grab that out and make sure that we can use that to pay over the appraisal? Because I'm telling you right now, in the market that we're in order to get this low interest rate, you're going to have to maybe do that. Not saying on everything, but I want you to be prepared. So now what have I done with this client? Just in this little 15 minutes that I've been talking with you, I told them how crazy the market is, and I got their acceptance that they will do everything they can to go look at that home when it comes on the market. I'm going to be watching it. You're going to be watching it. We're in here together. We're going to make this happen. If I got to go over to that home and FaceTime you and you give me the thumbs up to write an offer, we're going to do it, right? I'm going to get into more of that in just a second. And then I also told them about the inspections, what's going to happen there. If you think that you're going to have 10-day inspections, right? And first-time home buyers have your dad fly in from Chicago to look at our home in Virginia Beach, it ain't going to happen, right? They can look at it after it's closed or something like that and help you fix it up. But we don't have inspection periods, right? We have a day or two just so you have a peace of mind that you had an inspector out there. They looked at it, and it is what it is. We're not going to ask for repairs. Okay, but we do have an opportunity to back out, but I don't want that to happen either, because remember how hard it was to get to this point where you're actually doing inspections. Let's not back out. Remember all the drama that we had to go through just to get to this point? Are you sure you want to back out now, right? Because you told me back at the buyer's consultation that you were okay with a one-day inspection period and doing that as is. See how I'm tying it all in together, right? Then also now we have our appraisal come in. We put a bid in for $450,000, the home appraised at $400,000. Here we are, $50,000. You guys told me that you could get that money out of the 401k, and you told me when we met that you're prepared to do that, right? So like I said, now we're here at this time. We're going to have to take that money out. We're going to have to pay over the appraisal. You remember when we had that conversation, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, right? Now, not only that, but when we sat down with that particular person, we found out that they wanted a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,900 square foot ranch, right? And with a 2-car garage. We're in the ABC school district, 15 minutes from downtown. These kind of questions, we've really drilled down on the home that they want. So that's the only homes that we're really trying to show them. But we also have to go in there and have that must-haves conversation and our wants. And so, hey, this home has got the 3-bedroom, the 2-bath, the 2-car garage. Those are the wants. Those are the must-haves, right? It doesn't have the wants. Are you willing to compromise on these wants? And you have to have that conversation too, because remember, you're going to show them houses that are 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. They're not 10 minutes from downtown. They're about 30 minutes from downtown. And they say, well, it's 30 minutes from downtown. Well, remember when you told me at the buyer's consultation, you guys were willing to compromise on that. So is this something that you're still willing to compromise on? Because that's what you told me. That's the only reason that we're here. That's the only reason I waste your time. And see, the things that I'm doing, and I'm tying in that buyer's consultation with these conversations, is providing value to the consumer, because they know that I'm on their side. I am trying to help them find a home. I'm doing everything I can to get that home accepted. I'm doing everything I can to make that goal a reality. And these are the conversations that you have to have. So you don't have to throw money at the deal. You don't have to say, hey, if you use me, I'll give you $4,000 cash back on your closing costs. You don't have to do that. In fact, if you do that, it's actually called weak selling. That means you have no value proposition at all. Like I said, in lieu of a big value proposition, it'll cost you money, right? So how do you get this buyer's consultation? Number 1, you take our course. Number 2, you go back and you watch this video. And number 3, you get a friend in your office, or get a real estate coach or something to help you role play and practice these conversations, so it becomes so natural that you never have to think about it. All right, so we got a few minutes here. I'm going to answer a couple questions. What if you have these conversations several times until you're blue in the face and the client still wants to write under asking price offers, ask for closing costs, etc.? Okay, well, that's a good question. I don't want to have these conversations so I'm blue in the face. I'm going to have them one time at that buyer's consultation, and I need to have a direct yes or no. And you have to have the confidence to talk like I'm talking right now too. I'm talking confident. I'm not becoming aggressive. I'm just saying very confident. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, have you ever been to an auction? And they say yes or they say no. Do you know what an auction is, right? Okay, yeah, I do know what an auction is. Okay, great. So when they start an auction off, usually most of the time they have a price there, and then they do some bidding, and then the price goes above that bid price. Well, that's what we're in now. The price that you see on that is just our starting point. And there, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to go back and I'd pull history. All right, I'd pull history from a lot of the homes that they've been looking at for the past 3 or 4 months, and you're going to find where they were listed at and where they were sold at, so they don't think that you're full of it, right? I'm not full of it. I got the stats right here. This is what most of the homes are going over asking. Are you okay with that? And I have to have a yes. I have to have an agreement with them. If I don't have an agreement with them at that step 1, I don't know if this is the buyer for me. let's go refer them to the agent that said, bye, Felicia. Like, I just don't know if this is the guy for me, because I know for a fact I cannot get that person under contract if they're not willing to bid over ask. I can't do it. And I'm telling them that I can't, I'm not your guy. I can't find you a home. And you can go out and look for other homes, and you can do that. And I would totally 100%, if you want to do that, that's great for you. But I'm telling you right now, that's not going to happen. Now, here's the thing I want to show them. I've shown the stats that how home prices are going up, which they are, right? I'd pull our industry graphic out, and I'd have that in my buyer's consultation and show them that home prices always rise. They always rise. They went down just a little bit. One or two times in the Great Depression, or in our generation or whatever generation you're in, like in 07, 08, they went down. Even when they went down, they were still higher than they were, but back in like 03, 02. Okay, so the home prices are always going to go up. Don't worry about that. It's all good. And it only dip for what, a year or two? Not a big deal. Okay, so we're home prices are going to go up. The best time to buy real estate is right now. There's no way you're going to be able to time the market, right? If you're asking for closing costs, I don't know if you're going to be able to ask for closing costs. In fact, I almost know that you won't be able to ask for closing costs unless you're really, really high and you don't get the seller to pay closing costs and you overbid. But even then, just asking for it puts you at the bottom of the pile. And I can ask it for you, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, but let me ask you a question. Have you ever been to Las Vegas? I use this a lot. Have you all been to Las Vegas? Some say yes, some say no, right? And I say, all right, even if you have never been to Las Vegas, do you know what Las Vegas is, right? Most people say yes. I was like, well, if you've ever been to Las Vegas, you'll notice on the plane, everybody's happy. But when they come back, there's not a lot of winners that come back, is there? Most of them say no. All right, they're mostly unhappy coming back from Las Vegas. The reason is they took a gamble and they lost. It was fun. They tried to make it work, but you know what the problem was is they gambled and they lost. So I can write closing cost on there. I can write at list price on there. But what we're really doing is gambling. And I'm gonna tell you right now, your odds are not good. And have that conversation just like I just said it at the buyer's consultation. It'll save you months of aggravation, right? Now, that is having a unique selling proposition. That's having value. So get a stronger value proposition, number one. Number two is go back to some of the things that we talked about, using your database wisely, finding your results and tracking your numbers, having a business plan, because this is what you need to find out now. It's like, okay, I've got this many leads coming in per closing, right? So if I got 10 leads coming in per closing, what do I need to do? I need to get more leads. So I need to go back to my database, learn how I can get juice and squeeze some more leads out of there to get more closings. Because out of 10 people that say, I want to buy or sell a home, even if you have these buyer's consultations, sometimes they still don't do it, right? So you got to be able to track all that. So this is all tying in together. But this week, what I want you to do is go back and watch the buyer lead conversion course on our online learning center, and then go back and listen to this recording and start tying some of these tie downs and expectations in to your buyer's consultation. And I think you'll have a lot more luck with it. So I'm hoping you had a great conversation today. I'm glad. Thank you for the question.